Everybody, how are we doing here today? It's Ben Brousseau with Real Estate Roundup. We've got a few members of our Scottsdale Garden Department District here today, and we are talking with Tom Carlisle about the mural project. Tom, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today, Ben?
Great. So tell us a little bit about your ideas and some of the stuff that you've done in the past. Before we show everybody the video from last year, do you want to tell us a little bit about what you do for a living?
As an artist? Oh,
yeah.
I've been working in the Valley since 2001 as a decorative artist, and also do fine work on commission, and I've had a few art shows as well in the Valley for now.
Excellent. Are you from Alaska though, right?
Kind of. Born in San Diego, but when I was in like 5th grade, we moved to Alaska, and we were there till I graduated high school. And then I went to the U of A and got a degree there in dance with a minor in art, and I also went to the Art Institute in Chicago for a year.
Gotcha. Is there room here to do a little dance?
Yeah,
we do that later.
Yeah.
We can clear the table.
Yeah, right.
I can
Exactly.
just do a little like.
He's quite a dancer.
Was it Dirty Coyote? No, it's Ugly Coyote.
Yeah, Ugly Coyote. Coyote Ugly. Yeah.
Tabletop.
Yeah. Well, Tom, we're so thrilled to have you here today, and I've been telling people about R3 murals since last year. It's been a real wonderful project to work on together with you, and we're excited for the opportunity that lies ahead. You brought a couple of canvases. Do you want to show the camera?
I did. Is this? I don't.
Yep.
I don't know what's in the view. We had like 3 sizes, and that was the original concept, was to do a large, reduce, reuse, recycle R3 mural project, and then like everybody would paint on it, and then we cut it down into small pieces that people could we could sell to make money to pay for the project or for charity or whatever the mural was connected with. This is kind of a large size, and then I have. Where's the other ones? Oh, over here.
Yeah.
Out of shot here. And then kind of a mid-size. And then the other idea was that there would be smaller ones for takeaways. And then the actual original mural was, I think, it was like 10 feet by 20 feet. So it was really large. So it created the possibility to create all these things and have lots of takeaways for people. Either these were kind of the average takeaway size. We're like $10, and we would do these larger ones for like, $30, and then these even larger for like, again, like $75 or more like that. And that way that like the project, because it was so large, and we painted on it, but then we could make money off it that way. There was a way to monetize the project. And
excellent. We love that. Well, let's do one thing here really quick. Well, we've got everybody on, and we know that they're coming on right now. We've got a few people in the room. Let's go ahead and hit the light switch and have a quick little recap video here for everybody to take a look at from last year. I guess that one's going to stay on, isn't it? The brightest one. So let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and start this video. There's no other way to turn that top one off. Okay.
you can put my body in.
I know, right? Okay. Jump back in here. Let's just talk a little bit about art and, something as basic as that. Even that, there's a lot of waste involved and a lot of product that's left over that gets thrown away. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about the main reduce, yeah.
So that when you go to Green Chain, it's a large warehouse and it is full of paint from all over the valley. So all these, they get to all these contractors in the valley are constantly painting, and they're constantly having a lot of leftover paint. It's pretty amazing because you go there and it's a big warehouse and it's full of paint that's leftovers. And what they do is they take it and they recycle it, and they have a limited color range. What they allowed us to do was just to go through their bins and just grab stuff that hadn't been recycled yet. So we were able to get lots of bright colors and stuff to use for this mural.
But just to do a little plug for Green Sheen, there's 16 colors that can be made from any number of colors that you turn into them, which I think is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And then Lamar, we love them. Those billboards that you see on the side of the road, those they're completely recyclable. They get torn down and would otherwise sit in a junkyard somewhere and just rot away, right? So your idea was to take those and paint on them.
Yeah. It was just so we had like a base and could do this and could turn around and make takeaways. The only problem with the mural project per se is that then it's stuck on the side of the building.
Right.
And then the people who worked on it, there's nothing for them to have. And this way that there's a takeaway and it's recycled and it's useful. You could even, and the thing is you could actually, if you wanted, you could adhere it to the side of the building, paint on it, and then disadhere it later.
That's kind of what we're talking about. So again, like the more we talk about this, the more sense it makes to do it the same exact way we did last year, because you've got more product now involved with prepping. After you take, when you're done with the mural, because that permit expires, that wall has to be repainted again.
Right.
So this is something that I really personally support, and I think everybody would like to see that.
It's not lost, and everybody who works on it can have a piece of it, which I think is great.
Yeah.
And like this was the idea, was to create a basic concept and allow people to work in it. And what's cool about this project was that it had kind of the same amorphous shapes and stuff, and then as people painted into it, it just kept changing. So every day the shapes kept moving and altering and color-wise. So it was very almost like very organic and very much like a living kind of organism, which is kind of amazing. It was a really cool project. And the other reason for choosing things that were symbolic or obvious symbols like houses and cars and people, because people get, when they're painting on things, if they feel like there's objects, then they feel they're restrained because they're concerned that they can't paint that. Like, oh, the person, I can't paint people. So by keeping it like amorphous shapes and stuff, anybody feels like they can paint into it without having, like they're not going to make a mistake. Right. So that was also part of the concept. It was great. Something anyone could feel free to paint into. And
speaking of free, all of that stuff is free, right?
Yeah, it was all free. All the materials are free.
Yeah. I mean, a piece of canvas that size would cost thousands, right?
At least.
Hundreds.
Yeah. If you could get it. Right.
Oh, no, sorry, but did people paint during a certain period of time, or did you leave it up and they just painted when they
Well, I was there, yeah. So we
Yeah.
painted, at that time, when we did it at Mila, it was I would be there between usually 10 and 4.
Oh,
o'clock.
for a certain number of days?
And usually on weekends.
Okay.
And so I was there Saturdays and Sundays for I think 6 consecutive weekends, and people were allowed to, and then I sent out a lot of invitations to people, let them know what's going on. And so that they could bring kids and parents could paint. And then we actually had 2 projects. So there was a large project, which was the mural project. And then we also had on the side, we had a bunch of dip art, which was you put oil, it's water, in a container, something like bins, like in bins, basically, clear bins. And then you put oil-based paints in it, it's different colors, and they float on the surface. And then also spray paint into it, and then you can dip the canvas in them, and it makes really cool pieces that were immediate takeaways, and then just give them something to carry it. And then we were actually charging for that too. So that was $10, and kids went nuts for that. I mean, that was actually a problem. Parents were like, okay, you've done 2, and they're like, I want to do another one. And it's and so once that was cool. And that was nice too, because then that was when they work on the big project, there's no takeaway initially. You can we could sell it, or they would have them sign up to get a piece, but it's still a delayed thing. So the nice thing about doing the dip art on the side was that there was an immediate takeaway, and the kids freaking loved the process, and parents did too. So that was cool. I don't have any examples of the dip art here.
No, I don't think that we'll be doing dip art for this. I do like the idea, however. One location that we're talking about setting Tom up would be actually at the Scottsdale Center for the Performing Arts in the lobby. It's a large enough space, and because we have that event going on there, we booked the 99-seat theater. There's the 600-seat auditorium, and then they have an overflow theater that they've used when they're sold out. They screen movies there. It's a smaller venue, 99 seats. It's really great, and it would be perfect for what Rev is all about. And so we feel there's an opportunity to set up a canvas like this for, let's say, 10 days inside in August.
Yeah, that'd be great.
It would save you guys a ton on insurance and having people tripsing and traipsing through your property to add to a canvas. And then what do we do at night when the canvas isn't being monitor. I mean, there are a few logistical things that could really turn this into a nightmare if something went wrong. So we've got that as an opportunity. Let's go ahead and pull up a couple of the locations here. We've got the new Google Earth here, and now it's on a website. You don't need to download a separate program, which is, what do we call that? John, do you want to talk about this, what makes this a prime location? And I'll just
the curve area there, that's Goldwater, and the traffic off of Goldwater, and then where you come to a 70th right there at the corner. And as Goldwater goes north, this mural you can see through that open field area just extremely well.
Right.
So the side of the building, it's 2 stories. I just think it would be a good spot to put something as a marker for the garden apartment district.
I do too. And while I'm figuring out how to do this, There used to be, they've changed this all up. I'm sorry, guys. There should be a way for us to go in here and move this around.
So you can kind of point on the wall.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. That. What we need is,
Oh, to get a different, I
yeah.
don't know that you.
You want to get,
Yeah, what's that, Tommy? Is it this one here?
isn't the dude walking?
Here we are. Yes, okay. So now we're gonna go ahead and look at the actual view. It's incredible that they've got this technology, just all of it right at, yeah. Now we can go and turn the horizon up. That's not it. We just go like that. Yeah, perfect.
Okay, there you go. Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
Very neat.
Yeah.
So
So right there's Goldwater. There you can see the side of the building. That's perfect.
Right there.
and we can say a lot. We could say it in words. We could say it in art. We could do,
Absolutely.
you know, so many different things. It's actually almost exactly the size of one of Tom's murals. So, despite the fact that it's going to be, you know, 120 degrees out for the next several months, this would be a great area to do it. But do we want to bring people onto your property to do that? And, you know, does it open you up to risks?
Yeah.
It probably does.
Well, I like the idea of, as we talked about, the canvas
Mm-hmm.
and then adhering the canvas
Right.
to that. And I don't know if that's how we would do that, but I'm sure somebody could.
Yeah.
And what you see there, those bushes, those are obviously temporary,
Mm-hmm.
and they've grown, and we could trim those back.
Sure.
But yeah, that.
They look really great, by the way. That whole area, I don't know how you guys keep this so beautiful. It's probably just gets just enough sun every day.
There's a lot of dogs go by there, so.
You don't have a single piece P mark on it, though. I noticed the other day. It just
We've
looks
got them
great.
trained.
You water it.
No,
I think
so-
this sign does a lot too.
But that side, you can, if next time you drive up Goldwater, just take a look.
Yeah.
And when you see it, I just think if we can put something there that's gonna draw the attention,
Sure.
it'll be a good marker for the community.
I couldn't agree with you more. Now, we've got a couple of other locations to discuss. Stryker is not probably going to make it tonight, but we're going to go ahead and pop over to his building now. And to do that, I think we can just go,
Maybe that's-
you know, I think we'll just cruise right over like this. So again, we've got all the buildings here represented. Pretty much all of them. I've got one left. Savoy is the last one. That's an apartment complex. They don't like to call people back. But Stryker is talking about doing his on the entire side of this building, or on the, I'll show you two of them. We've got areas here. Stryker owns these units. So he would opt to probably have a material that has those little pinholes in it. Do you know how that stuff, Tommy, that they used to, like to wrap a car with?
Yeah, yeah.
So on the windows, you would have just a white pinhole stuff, and you would paint over that so he could still see out his windows. And then you have the canvas cut around it. So it would be pretty cool actually to have on the back of that building.
And that backs to 68th.
That's 68th Street, and yeah. And so let's see if I can get a better angle here. Right. So I think that would be pretty rad too. But who knows? We'll see. I like your building. Stryker likes his.
Sure.
Then there's also this as an option, and I doubt that it's viable. It would be taking the front of the building and doing the entire front in a temporary
Over the brick?
over the brick here.
Okay.
But I don't know how you would get the owner here and the renter here. I don't think that's going to work. I think the best option there is to have it on this side. So those are the two locations essentially that we've identified. Tom, you know, in your best read, what do you think? You know, do you have any other options? Like, what other areas would you do a canvas like this on? Like, you do maybe a smaller one on a, you know, just because you get a permit doesn't mean that you have to do a 40 by 22 foot, you know, gigantic billboard. You could do something much smaller too.
Yeah, other than that, I mean, we looked at that space
Yeah.
that they had, but I haven't thought about it. I mean,
Yeah,
for other spaces, because that space is so ideal, probably.
it's just like,
It's pretty ideal, I mean,
Yeah.
because it is on.
Because there's no windows on it. It's
Yeah,
got great
exactly.
visibility.
I mean, that's the odd thing about doing on a building windows, which is fine. I mean, I see a lot of that. And then the other issue, so you're thinking temporary, like doing more like the hearing process, like it'd be fine because you can paint somewhere cool, You know what I'm saying? You can have a controlled environment, and then because especially if it's big, that also means that what you can do is you actually can roll it down, bring the top part down where people can be standing and paint on it, and then pull it back up so you don't have the issue of getting people on scaffolding and all kinds of other liability issues. Because people on ladders and scaffolding, especially pedestrian, you really can't have people painting on it at that point because it's just dangerous. So,
and that's what you have figured out a pretty unique pulley system with yours, didn't you?
Well, we didn't do it that way. We could have done it though. Yeah, we did have like a bar across the top that could lower, and we did wind up not using it that way because we just didn't. It didn't. But we could have. But basically, had people paint the bottom 2/3. It was because it was about 10 feet tall, so they could paint pretty high. People could.
Yeah.
So then the top part I did, which worked out fine.
Yeah.
But we definitely could do it where they lowered it.
The controlled environment.
Yeah.
As opposed to trying.
In Arizona, it's a big plus. There was a mural project I did down at, kind of mural project at the Children's Museum downtown. And I've seen it, there's like a 3-dimensional thing in the sidewalk in front of it. And I was working on that, and it was so hot.
Yeah.
And then even when it was like, what should be a cool month, it was brutal to be on the cement working on
Sure.
it. And then it caused problems with that project. That cement was so hot. Anyway, it caused adhesion issues with the materials we were using.
Well, now, I guess I had imagined, and maybe this opens you up to theft or, whatever, graffiti or something like that. But somebody could come and tear this off if it's not adhered.
Right.
But, who's to say you can't just drop it over the side and have it weighted and just kind of pin there?
And maybe Lamar knows of a way to frame it somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? Drop it off the top, secure it, and I don't know how they do billboards. I know that's all.
Yeah,
That's
they do
adhesion.
they do. Well, now they just stretch them, right? So they used to do them like wallpaper. What you could do with this, you could actually use a water-based adhesive, and you would attach it, and then basically pull it off, and it would wash off. So water-based adhesive would work fine, and you can get there's different weights of it. So you'd want to get one that's pretty light. And then you basically could just eventually peel it off and just wash it off the wall.
If you do it directly on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
If you attach it to the wall like that, yeah.
Yeah, but you're talking as opposed to painting the wall.
As opposed to painting the wall, yeah. If you want, like this, you could use the vinyl material and basically you basically use a water-based adhesive it's a light adhesive and stick it up there.
Yeah.
And leave it for there as long as you want it. And that would give you the option to paint it in one location with people and stuff for a controlled environment, and then move it and hang it in
Yeah,
one
I think
location.
that would be.
And then you could still, then once it's taken down, cut it up, and if you wanted to, disperse it to people. If the kind of idea was everyone who worked on it could leave. We made like kind of a grid of the mural, and they could actually choose a section of it that they wanted to keep.
That's cute.
And then they could so that was part of the process, and that can just be done online on an app. They can choose a part.
Right.
Ben, we were talking about, this is a totally different idea, but we were talking about having one of those library kind of
I've got
things
that.
on the corners.
Yeah.
I was wondering, if you had something where it was a contained, like a back and 2 sides, I mean, that could also be a place where there's a mural.
Let me pull that video up really quick, and Tom will have you talk about that in one moment. Tom is kind of our resident artist. We're going to hopefully get him a property in this district as soon as something perfect comes up. But until then, until you have an actual mailing address, we'll just pretend. Tom came up with some fabulous ideas for they call it Books to Go. And Books to Go is a concept that is taking off around the United States. Librarians everywhere are figuring out how to repurpose their spaces to become more because everything's digital now. So you're going to see museums doing things, or libraries doing things that they've never done before, and also offloading extra copies of books by using these Books to Go. The unfortunate issue with Books to Go is that there's a tremendous amount of liability for the city if they get involved with putting a kiosk on private property. So every kiosk that you see in this town, anywhere in Phoenix, and you see them all over Phoenix, it's crazy. I just saw one today, and it was so cute the way the owner of the property had built out this little section in the back, and you can tell they're trying to clean the neighborhood up. And it just looks so great. So I'm going to start taking photos of these as examples. It matches the whole program that they have for their house. Most people, however, are sticking to a very standard. I put together a little video for us for last meeting that I don't think we've even looked at yet, which has Tom's concept. What we took to the Scottsdale library was to do a books to go kiosk in the tune of mid-century modern. And so Tom came up with some ideas that were pretty cool. Do you want to kind of describe those while I'm pulling this thing up here, Tommy?
Just a mid-century structure, was like an Eichler, like a.
It was just a box, basically.
Based on the Haber House.
Yeah, I'll pull that up. So I think I've got that as well. For some reason, this is not come up.
There is one neighborhood over here in Scottsdale, down on Scottsdale Road.
Town and Country.
Yeah. All right.
Well, that's what kind of is all that mid-century modern
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. So we would do one that is
That's
kind
some
of,
great ideas.
yeah. So we have to have, one of the HOAs would have to be elected to and agree to a very basic rider that the city already has created that says if somebody is on a moped or on one of those scooters and they fly off of it and hit the kiosk and they break their neck or something, you're not going to sue the city, right? There's a little bit of paperwork that has to go into it for each one of them. That's why we only have 3 of them done to date, and they're all like in public parks. A dog park has one that's kind of a dog theme. And I'll pull that up as soon as our internet decides to start
Well,
working
the
here again.
location that you're talking about near ours, I think is on city land. I don't think that's.
It is, in fact, and that is a good, very, very good point.
Because it's right by that park.
Right,
It's on the other side of the wall
right.
that I think you were looking to do.
Books to go Scottsdale. So as you guys can tell, once you see this, there's kind of a common theme, and I think what they're doing is they're buying a. I believe this is like a do-it-yourself kit or a DIY type doghouse that they're just making work for a books to go kiosk. So let's find this photos here. Okay, so here are the 3 that are up right now, and I think you guys can see that. So we've got this one. I know took quite a while, and this was a group of Boy Scouts that did this one.
All right.
And that is obviously, it looks like a phone booth, which is so cute, right? Then we've got this little old schoolhouse one at Mountain View Park, and then Chaparral Dog Park. So these are the 3 that have been approved and built to date, and I guess each one of them came with their own set of hassles. What the city would like is for us to figure out a way to do it on our own property and take the concept to them and just do it, basically. And I think it can be done, and I think it would generate some.
I was thinking, you do a back wall to it, like a.
Yeah. Is this gonna come on here? Okay,
That might be. So that's one in Santa Monica.
that's pretty cool. So it's an actual outdoor, and they just have like plexiglass covering.
It's on a corner.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Let's see that time.
Mhm. It's
Yeah.
artsy, but it could be artsy.
Yeah.
That's cool. It's all seating.
I really just think that the perfect spot would be on that city property.
I'm gonna check on that, John.
Right there, right here, because you have this little park
Right.
walking across. And I just think right in there would be a great spot for a kiosk, and this is all city.
You're totally right.
And so when you come over to here, this is coming out of 70th Goldwater. There's probably gonna be a stoplight there, but, because over here is where those.
Oh, I can see what you're saying. Yeah. I'm
At
gonna.
some
I'll ask
point,
about
there's
that.
gonna be a lot of traffic there,
Mhm.
and that's gonna be a good location. Because you have all that in front of the
This is
wall
gonna
here.
slow a lot of the traffic, though.
You know,
right
all of
here.
this wall that kind of separates that garden apartment,
Mhm.
all of this here is,
Right.
I just think that would be a good
Yeah, that
spot
would be
for
a really
that.
good spot.
And it'd be on city property, and it might be a good
I'll find out
entry.
about that. I'll call them tomorrow because I've got a couple of phone calls to make down there. That's a great idea. So Tom had a great idea for that. So perhaps we'll be relying on Tom to do that one as well. Now, the book kiosk, the mural, and then public art. So they said no about the about having a bench and something, getting people to sit down and do whatever.
You know, as we move into this garden apartment historical district, I mean, can we, I love this idea of the free flowing painting. Is there a way to have you as an artist put something of meaning and free
Yeah.
flow around it? You know, I said maybe
No, I think we
the
can fill
announcing
that,
the
like I did the
garden
design,
apartment.
yeah, I think that,
So it's like an entry into the whole.
yeah, I don't think it has to be all anymore, but no, in fact, I did that design already, I was gonna just now, like, we had kind of like people swimming, so we had kind of 60s thing to it, but it was a little more multicultural in the 60s. So it was like a '60s I think with a multicultural edge because it seemed like that was kind of lost. If you
Yeah,
took, like,
21st century.
yeah, version of it. But
Did you
then
email it to me at any point? Because it should be in my inbox if you emailed something.
Because that's originally,
I have it still.
originally, that's what I had thought is some sort of a mid-century,
Mhm.
you know, with people diving in the pool.
That's exactly what I had.
That kind of stuff, the little starbursts
Yeah.
around, the atomic age
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
stuff, just for that.
Yeah, I think we.
But I don't, that would be left up to an artist to do. I don't think you want me and Suzanne or Suzanne and I.
Adding our art.
Well, once you guys
What I
input-
did with this project was what I just actually had people paint into it, and I just kept painting into where they painted into. So it kept, I didn't actually and then what I tried to kind of conserve elements of what they did, but I also tried to pull it back into theme. So that works. That worked out really well. I mean, because then because people did this. I mean, people it was really funny. Girls in general, when they paint, they get it and they'd understand that we're just trying to create more colors, create more interest going on in the painting, and then we kind of extend shapes and alter things. But the funny thing is with guys, they would often come up and just draw a house right in the middle of nowhere, or a cloud. It was really funny to watch guys couldn't adapt in general, couldn't actually adapt to the forms and then feed into it. They would just stick a symbol on top of it, just and then I was fine. I reintegrated it, So I just kept integrating it back in, and that was kind of what it was weird. But those things that those guys did in general, that seemed at first I was really jarring. I was able to reincorporate them, and so I think that the nice thing about it is that we can start with a basic design, this kind of atomic design. I was thinking about that with the swimming pool, and I have a drawing that I did exactly that kind of thing, but a little more contemporary feeling, but definitely that kind of '60s things, and a little more multicultural.
Yeah.
But at the same token, I think that people can just paint into it, and I can reintegrate it, and then all those layers just create really interesting complexity.
And depth.
Yeah, and depth. Yeah,
Yeah.
color depth, and it also it's so I think you can put what I would do with this one, I put in the basic design, in the basic color scheme, I just based in, and people and there was a lot to paint into it,
Yeah.
and then I would just go back in and look at what they did, and they would reintegrate it so that it would change the painting, it would grow.
Yeah, something like this conceptually could kind of wind through and then have your little caveats
water
of the
could be
swimming pool or
Crazy,
the.
yeah.
Do you guys want to come in and cool off and get some water in here? Let's see if we can get a quick photo with John. He's going to take a picture of us before he takes off.
Yeah, I think it totally, people can just paint it, and I can reintegrate it back into where it needs to be to pull it back, to the original concept, and where people have brought, and was still I was able to do that with this thing, and then still retain some of what they did. I would try to honor what people had done, but then reintegrate it. And it actually was a really exciting process for me because it's like a real boundary opener to allow to have an idea, but then to because I was it's weird, but it's communicating. It's a different way of talking with people,
right.
because then you're seeing their ideas, you're seeing interpretation, and you're reintegrating back into the thing, which actually is a really fascinating process. I think on both sides, because especially the thing I was about with this project, part of the idea was that so many people stop, after second or third grade, they stop making art, right? They're terrified of doing it, So it's how do you do a project to get people back making art again? So that was part of the concept with this. How can you do that, and then still wind up with a good product, and not have it too crazy. And I thought we wound up with a really beautiful product at the end.
Right.
But it did mean that I had to keep painting into what they were doing.
Yeah, see, and that's what I didn't know. Years ago, I built a deck on a house that I had in Illinois. I had a guy come out, I got a bid for it. He gave me a quote, and I said, okay, well, what if I help you? And he said, just double the price. Because, I didn't know if it was more work for you with having us.
Would you like one of these?
Well, bye.
No, that's a gift. We're going to use these in our press kit.
Have you heard of Atomic Steve?
I haven't, but you said.
Oh, yeah, so he
Well,
did this for us.
this is Amos Alonso.
Oh, I thought it was.
He does the atomic.
Oh, yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Look
Those
how
are
pretty
cool.
those are.
And then
I
this
love it.
Atomic Steve, our little condo there, we've got all this atomic stuff. I'm just trying to see, and he does that.
Very cool.
don't know if we've got that.
Guys, these are going to be part of our press kit, but I'm not sure if we got that, but we'll just go ahead and re-record this with R3 mural, the second one. John, you're here. Everybody, this is John Anderson, John Shambrook, Suzanne, Tom Carlisle, and Mr. Gutierrez here. It was Frank. And we're talking about R3 mural here. This is the final product of what we had done last year at Mila. John, you remember that? Tom set up a wonderful presentation there. It was there for how many months? 2 months?
At least, yeah.
And the whole idea was to get the community involved with reduce, reuse, recycle. And so at the end of the project, this gigantic, it was 18 by 40 foot canvas, which was all painted by local kids and seniors and people that were looking at the house to buy it. They came together and contributed to this piece of public art. And then all of it was reduced from recycled materials. And so this is something we've worked in. That really looks nice.
Yeah, they're very cool. And then the wood is recycled too, right?
Very cool, Tom. I love that. So thanks for checking out our live feed tonight. This is all going to be edited down. We're going to have this put up on YouTube in the next day or two. Any questions? Anything? Okay.
No.
Cool. Thanks again, guys. Now, we can go in the next room. John is displaying a piece of artwork that you guys are going to love by architect Benny Gonzalez. Benny Gonzalez actually did Los Cuatros.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
And as well as all of the city buildings, City Hall, the library. So I thought we could take a photo in front of it to kind of mark the occasion. Yeah.
You need to send us these pictures, then.
Oh, which one's
Got
that?
us. You've taken hundreds.
I sent you
Normally,
photos from
my
last year.
agent gets a piece of this. But this guy, Atomic Steve, does this atomic art. And Suzanne's done a kind of a, you get a chance, come by and we'll show you our little place, but she's done that. We put the starburst on one of the walls.
Yeah. I think that like I said, is you can put like a basic concept down, and let people work into it, and then I can just pull it right back, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And pull it so that all that stuff is still there, but that the water can be a very complex surface. Obviously, we do a pool, the water, bathing suits, hair, all those things can have like
that's something that he does.
Oh yeah, that is pretty awesome.
And it's Atomic Steve. And he's shown down here in